Nami Bhakti Shaktikam Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasati Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Yasya Toanvayaditaratas Charte Subhigyasvarahat Tene Brahma Hridaya Adikavaye Muyanti Yat Suraya Tejo Varim Vedam Yatha Vinimayo Yatra Trisarvo Vrisha Dhamna Svena Sada Nirastakukam Satyam Param Dhimahi Narayanam Namaskritya Naran Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudire Swasti Astu Vishwasya Khala Prasidatam Dhyayantu Bhutani Shivam Vitodhiya Manascha Bhadram Bhajata Dadokshade Avishyatam No Matirapyahetuki Om Sahana Vavatu Sahana Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karvavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu Ma Vidvishavahai Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 6, chapter number 12. Reading from verse number 5. Let's start from the verse. So we read that Vritrasura, he was praying to the Lord, which we read in the previous chapter, and then he decided that he wants to get killed. Jihasu, he decided that I want to give up my life, because that is better than living and being victorious. So thinking like this and knowing that Indra, he was just standing still, not attacking him, so he attacked him. But you know that if he attacks him, then Indra has to attack back. So he attacked him with this trident, and then Indra, as was expected, he hit him back with his thunderbolt, cut the trident as well as his arm. So now he had both arms cut, or one. So then he did not take the Vajra, feeling ashamed because with the one arm he hit him back. So then he was asking him that, take up this and attack me. Tamaha vritta atta vajro jahi swasatrum na vishada kala yudstam putrachit adatainam jaya sadekatra navi paratma. So it's not that everybody is always victorious, sometimes you lose, sometimes you gain. So you continue fighting, don't lose hope. So that is what he was saying, and then he started saying that except for Lord, Unayakam Utpatti Layasthiti Ishwaram Sarvagyamadhyam Purusham Sanatanam. Sanatana Purusha, the eternal person, the supreme person, it is he alone who can be victorious all the time, no one else. So then he continues speaking, because he wants that Indra should again get his power and attack him. Loka sapala yasya me swashanti vivashavase dvijaiva shichabadha sakalaihi karanam. So he says that the time is the cause behind victory and defeat. Sometimes there is auspicious time and sometimes it is inauspicious time. So when it is time, good time for somebody, then one can be victorious. So that's why the kings in the past, they used to also see muhurta, and they had to attack somebody to see if it is a good time or not. Because there are certain times which are not favorable. So he says that all these people and the protector of the planets, they are all functioning under the power of time. And time, of course, is under the control of the Lord, which was mentioned in the previous verse. He said, he gives an example, Dvija iva shicha baddha. Just as the birds, they may be bound inside a net. So when they are inside the net, they can only fly in a limited manner. And when they are released, then they are free to fly in the sky. So like that, everybody is under the influence of time and karma. And although we make a lot of plans, but we are not successful all the time. And if you actually analyze, that most of the time we are not really free. Because there are so many factors which are influencing us besides our own effort, our own plan. There are various factors. And our own mind is not in our own control. So suddenly your mind can become disturbed by a very small thing. And then your whole mood is changed. You lose enthusiasm. Or you become very enthusiastic. So we do experience this in our life. So the time happens, and it appears that we are doing it and we are controlling it. But actually there are various thoughts which come inside and we have no control over those thoughts. So suddenly one disturbing thought comes and then you get influenced by that. And suddenly another comforting thought comes and you become influenced by that. So very, very dependent. So even the great people, they face these problems. They are not always same. So therefore he says, Dvija iva shicha baddha sakale hi karanam. So if time is the cause and time controls, therefore it is called kala. Kalayati iti kala, which controls everybody. That is the meaning of the word kala, time. So we don't actually even feel it, but it is working. It's very subtle. And there are various types of vasanas lying inside us, like the seeds. So when there is appropriate time, they become ripe. And then you feel like eating something, and you eat it, and suddenly your stomach is upset. So when you fall sick, or even if you don't fall sick, at least you feel disturbed in your mind. So even a small thing can do that. So there are many things which are happening without our plan. So therefore Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, Tasmat yusmakam karmadhinanam to subha subha adrishta anukula kala eva jayaparaja karma. So he says, people like you who are under the influence of karma. So then depending on adrishta, adrishta is a word which literally means unseen, and it is used for fate. So whenever we perform any action, usually there are two results of that. One is drishta, which you see, another is adrishta, which you don't see. It's like when you eat, So when you eat, you taste the food, you feel satisfied, your hunger is quelled. You see the visible effect. And then there is invisible effect, which you are not perceiving, what it is doing to you, or how it is influencing, because food is very much influencing the mind. That's why in the past people were very careful about eating. I was just listening to a very old cassette of Maharaj. I started listening to these cassettes which I recorded for so long. So I was going to the very old ones and I was interviewing him actually about his life little bit, only he didn't speak much. So he was saying that when he was in Banaras, when he went to study, he studied there about 10 to 12 years. And he did not eat any food which was cooked. Everything raw, even milk, he did not eat. So I asked him that why you were doing that. What was the reason? So he said that reason was very secret. Externally, he told everybody, I have no time, I just want to study and I don't want to waste my time in cooking. That's also true. He said, but actually the real reason was that when you are there, then there are always these bhandaras or feasts. Like in Vrindavan. Today I was invited to 2 of them. I have to go there. I couldn't avoid. Yesterday I went, at least I avoided, I came back, I didn't eat. Day before yesterday also I went, I did not eat. But today I could not escape. But I took some fruit. So he was saying that these bhandaras are there and then you have to go and eat. And we are Vaishnavas, we are not supposed to eat, which is not offered. And when you go there, you don't know whether it is offered or not offered, and to whom it is offered. And this is very important for our consciousness. So he says, I took the vow that I will not eat anything cooked. So since I don't eat anything cooked, nobody invites me. And even if they invite me, okay, give me some fruit, I can bring it, offer it and take it. So he says, I never went into any bhandaras. And then he says, only once it happened that he was studying Nyaya. There was one great Nyayika, Sri Hariram Sukla. I know some of his books are there. So he says that he was invited somewhere and the person who was inviting him said, you bring your students also. So he says, I could not say no to him because he was my guru, my teacher. So I went. So when everybody is sitting and they served food, they served to me also. But I was not eating cooked food, so I just sat and everybody started eating and I was only sitting. So then everybody said, why you are not eating? So he said, because I don't eat cooked food. So then they became very angry. He said, then why did you come? He said, well, my guru asked me to come, so I came, what can I do? But I don't eat. So I didn't eat. So previously people were actually very careful. There are many people like that who used to cook their own food and they will not eat anything cooked. They are known as Swampaki. Or they will live only on milk. So Maharaj also lived only on milk for a long time. He came back from Banaras, he would just drink milk. So it's very difficult for us to imagine it, how they could live like this. He said that after he came to Vrindavan, his habit was only eating once a day, right from the very beginning. And he came as a young boy of 17 years old. So he must also have good fire at that time at least. But he says right from that time, because the custom was, he was living with Pandit Baba when he came, and they used to go and do madhukari in the evening, begging food and come back and eat at night, and that's the talking about the mind and how mind gets influenced by food. And then although we think that we are in control, but actually if we don't even control our food, then where is our control? Because then whatever you eat, that influences you. And that influence is coming from within, not from outside. Because usually we think when somebody is controlling me from outside, then only I am controlled. But actually the control is also coming from inside. Your mind is getting influenced even by food. And there are many things like that which are influencing. The inner samskara, the person you meet, your association, what you see, whom you contact, what you read, everything is influencing your mind. And you may not notice it, but it's happening. So if you start observing all these things, then you will know how much independence we have. So therefore he says, Sakalahi Kara. He says that the cause is only time. Because suddenly you don't know what happens next minute. Chanavurdhvam na janami vidhata kim vidasyati. Next moment I don't know what fate has for me. Even big astrologers, they don't know. Right? Big astrology is also probability, it gives probability. Because there are so many factors which are influencing. How many can you calculate? There are big grahas influencing, and then there are small ones also playing their little guitar somewhere in the corner. Some vibration is coming. So there's many things which are involved. And then we have the great father time, about which we don't know much. So all this is going on. So he says, don't worry, and still you have to continue. So he says, Tasmat yusmakam karmadhinanam tu subha subha drishta anukula kala eva jaya paraja paraja. So it is only time. So as Krishna says, Kalayatam kalavasmi, that among the controllers I am time. So this is how he is controlling. He is not controlling by some big army. It's time. Very nice way to control. You cannot even figure it out. What's going on? You don't even know that he is controlling. So people can think there is no God. And where is God? I earn my bread. So where is God coming in between? So God is saying yes. You can say whatever you like to say. But I am in control. All the time. Yasya vashe sthitaha swasanti chestante. So being under its control, we are breathing. He uses the word swasanti, breath. He's using it for our action. Means under the control of time, we are acting. But even the word swasanti is very important because everything depends on our breathing. If our breath is gone, we are finished. So that breath is controlled by time. When our time comes, we will not be able to take one extra breath. And if you have breathing problem, what can you do? Of course, these days you can go on the ventilator. And they make you breathe with the machine. So he says that Yasyave swashanti vivasha vashe. Under this control, helplessly we breathe. So even our breathing is not in our control. It is going on. We sleep at night, we have no control. At least we know that when we sleep at night, we have no control over breathing. When you are awake, you can say, well, I am controlling it. Well, that's not a fact. Maybe only when you do some pranayama, is going on by itself. And we don't know how it changes. Sometimes fast, sometimes slow. And all our other activities are dependent on this breathing. Because this is called life air, prana. So all the movements in our body, they are happening only because of the prana. And prana is not under our control. We are vivasha, helpless. So sometimes some person suddenly dies. So he says that swasanti chestante duja pakshini sishajara. It's like the birds. Sometimes in the childhood I have seen children, they catch bird and they tie a little thread to the leg of the bird and then they release it. So bird is flying, but the thread is in the hand of this boy and he's playing with the bird. So bird can fly, but it is under the control. So like that we are. Ojaha saho balam pranam amritam mrityumeva cha tamagyaya jano hetum atmanam nandite jadam. So he says that everything is under the control of time. Our sensory power, our mental power, our physical power, our very life, our birth, death, these are all under the control of time and we are controlled by these things. So we have some power of our senses, how we see, we hear, smell, all this sensory power. But even this sensory power is not in our control. Our eyes become weak with time, so time is influencing. And then hearing becomes weak. Even taste, as you get older, your taste is not same. You cannot enjoy the food as you enjoyed 10 years ago, 15, 20 years ago. That power is gone, sensory power. Same with the mind, mental power. The way you can think or remember things, it all changes with time. And then physical strength. So he says these are the things which people consider as their own. That I have good memory, I have good eyes, I can think and become proud of them. But these are all very temporary things. And they all change. So, ojam balam saho balam pranam amritam. Our death, when the death will come, no idea. So not knowing this, person thinks his own body as the cause. That it is my body, and by my body I am successful or I am failure or I am this or I am that. So he says this is all because of ignorance. So ojadi rupam tam kalam hetum agyaya avigyaya jadam santam atmanam deham hetum. So he says that it is time only which is controlling or influencing all our faculties. And not knowing this, we are very much proud of our physical body. We consider that I have this strength or this power. And actually it is not true. Then he gives more example of this. And it is very important to remember this because we tend to forget this very quickly. Very quickly we again become influenced by ignorance. So it says, yatha daru mayi nari, yatha yantra mayo mrigaha, evam bhutani bhagwan, isha tantrani vidhipo. He says that, O Bhagavan, O Indra, please know for sure that just as Darumai Nari means a doll made of wood. So in the olden days there was no plastic, so they made dolls from wood. So he said just as a doll is made from wood, so whoever is playing with it, the doll is in control of that person, boy or girl. And yantra mayo mriga, you may have deer or something which is made like a machine. Maybe they had some contraption that they are making, like a robot. We have battery driven toys these days. So they are moving, these robots or other toys, but they are under the control, they are not independent. Now you can have remote control, right? So you are sitting far away and you are controlling this robot, and if the robot suppose has its own individual consciousness, then robot will think that I am free because I am moving, I can talk. But actually there is somebody who is having the remote control in the hand and he can switch it off anytime. And what robot can do? So like that, he says that everything says evam bhutani isha tantrani. So everything, all living beings are under the control of the Lord. That is the meaning of Tantra. Tantra has different meaning. One meaning of Tantra is control. So it's called Isha Tantra. Control of the Lord. Like a doll. So this is like the puppets. You don't see the threads. There is a person sitting behind and he has threads in his fingers and he is making them dance. Kincha tasya kalasyapi vashayata ya purusha sopi yasya vasay sasvayam bhagavanev sarva karana karanamati sadrishtantam. So he said that he is now explaining with an example how this time is also controlled by Purusha or Paramatma, and that Paramatma is also under the control of Bhagavan, who is the cause of all bodies. So we don't even know Paramatma, but to speak of Bhagavan beyond that. So he is the supreme controller, and this he explains in these two verses. Isha tantrani tasya ishvarasya adhinani. Everything is under the Lord. That's why it's called Ishvara. So out of ignorance, out of delusion, we do not understand this. And proper understanding comes then we will know. So he further speaks about this controlling part. It says Purusha prakritir vyaktir atma bhutendriya shayaha shaknuvantyasya sargado navinaya anugrahat. So he said that even this Purusha and Prakriti and the Ahankara, Mahatattva Ahankara and the various elements, senses, says they cannot function without the grace of the Lord. So we have read in the second Canto of Bhagavatam how this cosmic Purusha was created and it did not function unless the Lord entered into it. So only by the power of Lord it comes to life. Otherwise it is just like a doll. So even this universe has life. It is not a dead matter as scientists think and they try to study it. It also has consciousness in it. It is also growing. As we grow and we exist, the universe also grows, stays for some time, and then it dies. So just like we have our own physical body, and in our body there are millions of cells, and each cell is an individual living being, but they are all living in the universe. But the cells may think that even this body has no life and only we are living. You can think like that. So in the same way, we are like a small cell inside this universe. And there are so many of them. But the universe also has its own life. So he says that they are all functioning under the grace of the Lord, otherwise it's not possible. Purusho Mahatsrashta Swanso api Kimut Prakriti Adi. So he is using the word Purusha here, that even Purusha is not independent. Purusha here refers to Mahavishnu. He is the first creator. So he says that he is the Ansha of the Lord himself directly expansion. So even he is not independent. So it's quite amazing. He is not free. He is Vishnu himself. He is also under Krishna. That's why in Chaitanya it is said that Ekala Ishwar Krishna Asam Vidya. That only Krishna is the Ishwar. When you analyze, it is he alone who is supremely independent. Others who are Vishnu Tattvas, they are also supreme and they are also referred to as Bhagavan. But even they are not supremely independent. They also function under Lord Krishna. Therefore, Krishna is called Sarvakarana. So even Balaram he calls himself as servant of Krishna. The elder brother of Krishna. He says, Brahma stole the calves, the cowherd boys. That day Balaram was not there. It was supposed to be his birthday. He did not come. So therefore he did not know that calves were stolen and Krishna has expanded as these calves. So after 1 year, one day when the cows were grazing on Govardhan hill and the calves were on the foothills, these cows they started running and they saw the calves. And the cowherd boys were not able to stop them. So Balaram was seeing this, and then only he was struck with wonder that how is this possible? Because these cows were suckling the calves which had actually weaned away. They had given birth to other calves. They were licking these grown up calves. So then Balaram only understood this is, he said, Bhartur Maya. This is the Maya of my master. So he is calling Krishna as his master. So that's why he says that even Purusha, the Mahatsrashta, the creator of Mahat, even his servant, what to speak of Prakriti, is only Jada, inert energy of Lord. So Vyaktam Mahatattvam, the word Vyaktam means Mahatattva, that is the first manifestation. And Atma refers to Ahankara. Because the sense of I comes in the Ahankara. Ete yasya anugrahad vina sargado na shaknanti. So all these things they cannot function without the grace of the Lord. Nacha purushasya saeva katham tadanugrahyati vacham. So one can say, how is it possible that, how is that he is blessing Purusha? Because Purusha is Lord himself. So he says, even Parabrahman, Parabrahmanopi tad anugrahyatu shravana. He says even Parabrahma is what is called Brahman in the Upanishad. This is also under the grace of Lord Krishna. As it is said, Madiyam Mahimanam cha Parabrahmeti Shadyatam Vetsasya Nugrahitam Me Samprasnai Vivritam Hridi. This was spoken by Lord Matsya to King Satyavrata. He appeared as a small fish and he was growing and growing. And he said that you will understand my Mahima, glory called Parabrahma later on. And there will be deluge and I will come to protect you. And you will ask me questions and I will answer you. So then you will also realize Parabrahma. So even Parabrahman, although Parabrahman is one of the three manifestations, Brahmeti, Paramatmati, Bhagavanti, Shamiti, even this Parabrahman cannot be known without the grace of Krishna. Mam Chavya Vicharina Bhakti Yogin Sevate Sagunan Santite Tan Brahman. Without Bhakti one cannot realize Brahman. So if one approaches Brahman directly without devotion to Krishna, one will not have realization of Brahman. This is what he means, that even Parabrahman or this Brahman is anugrahya, depending on the grace of Krishna. Not independent. So then he continues, he said, Avidvan evam atmanam manyate anisham ishwaram Bhutai sajti bhutani grastai tani tai swayam. So he says those who are ignorant, avidvan, they think that this jiva or living being himself is the Ishvara. So there are many people who believe this, that we are God, everybody is God. Right? There are many schools like that. This is a very common belief in many spiritual societies, that we are all God. Now it is becoming popular outside Hinduism also. So he says that this is ignorance. Vidvan evam atmanam mandite anisham Ishwaram. That we are actually anisha. We are controlled, we are not masters, but we think we are masters. So this is how Maya works. In the very beginning of creation, Narada Rishi has approached Brahma and he was praising Brahma as the supreme God. And he was saying that I don't see anybody higher than you, you are the supreme. Only thing is that I have one problem, that being supreme, how is that you perform this severe penance at the beginning of creation? Sabhavana charad bhoram yat tapayasu samahita tena khedayase nastram parasham kampayas. When I think of this, my mind becomes disturbed, that why you have to do this? Because you are a supreme God. So when Brahma, he heard this question, he was like this. He says, your question is very nice because it reminds me of the Lord. It says, Samyak Karunika Sridam Vatsate Vichikits. It says, my dear boy, your doubt is very good. Because Yadaham Chaudita Swami Bhagavad. Because when you ask this question, you can immediately think of the Lord. And in one place he says that because of this Durjaya Maya, people think that I am supreme. Vadanti Ishvara. So he speaks very clearly that it is because of the influence of Maya, people think that I am supreme. Otherwise, I am just functioning under the power of the Lord. So Brahma is not in ignorance like this. He is in knowledge, and therefore he was not influenced by the praise. Usually if someone praises you, then you think maybe I am right, otherwise why this person is speaking like this. So he was not influenced by that. He said that it is only Lord's Maya which makes one think like this. Vimohita vikat yan maya durjaya mam bruvanti jagad guru. Tasmai namo bhagavate vasudeva. He praised Lord Vasudeva, and he says that it is because of his Maya that people think I am Jagat Guru. So he is being very sincere. He says, Vimohita vikathante mamahamiti durdhi. People, foolish people, they are very proud. And they say, this is mine, and I am so and so. And they are all under the control of the Lord. And bhutai srishti bhutani grastai tani tesu. So that living beings are born from living beings. They are also eaten up by other living beings. So nanu swakaram dvara jiva eva srishtyadi hetu riti mīmānsaka manyante tatra evam anupam. So he says that some people say that it is only by the karma that everything happens. There is no God. So Mīmānsakas, they think like that. That everything is happening by karma. There is law of karma. So that's why they say that we have to do good karma. And there is no need of bringing God into picture. There are many people who talk like this. That if I am leading a good moral life, I am truthful, performing my duties, then why I have to worry about God? And sometimes people say that such person is better than some devotee who may be not well behaved. Right? Sometimes people think like that. But that is not true. So if one is not surrendered to God, if one is not accepting to God, then these so-called good qualities don't have much meaning. Therefore he says that those who are ignorant people, they think like that everything is happening by karma. I am surviving by my own karma, except that you are not born by your own karma. Right? What did you do to take birth? So your beginning is not by your karma, because karma for them means what we do now. They don't believe in next birth or previous life. So you begin without your karma. Then in between everything is happening because of your karma. How is that possible? Your very beginning is not by your karma. You lived as a child, you grew up, that was not your karma. Because you are not able to do anything, you are lying on the bed. And then now everything is only by my karma, so why God? So it says avidwan, that ignorant people, That's how they think. And they consider themselves as the master. Anishameva atmanam jivam isham. So that which is not the controller, they think is the controller, the self, oneself. Nanu pitradaya srashtaro drishyante vyaghradeyastu hantara. So he says, but we see that it is the parents who are giving birth to the children. Where is God coming into the picture? And then there are some animals which eat up. So it is the living beings who create and living beings who destroy. It's no involvement of God in this. So he said, yes, this is how Lord is functioning. He is creating through living beings and he is also destroying through living beings. Ayu Shri Kirtis Rashwaryam Ashisha Purushasya Bhavanti Evi Tatkale Yathainacho Viparyaya. So now, because he was talking about victory and defeat, basically he is speaking all this to inspire Indra to fight and kill. So he has to give a very big lecture on that. So he says that our life, our wealth, our fame, opulence, and all the blessings, whatever they may be. So these things happen when there is a time for them. So we have seen that certain things happen even without our planning. Some good things or some bad things. Bad things, of course, we never plan. They happen. And we have experienced. We did not plan to fall sick. It happens. We did not plan to get in a trap or cheated by somebody. It happens. So he says, in the same way, good things also happen. Only you think that it is by your plan. So when there is a time for good things to happen, then they happen. And when it is not time for them, they don't happen. And then opposite happens, although you do not desire it, anichcha. So we are not desiring something, it happens. So then, where is the question of I being in control? If I was in control, then it should happen only as I plan. So it's not happening. So happiness and distress, they come and go. Nanu tvaya parajitasya mama jayadi shanka eva nasti. Kimiti balat mam yuddhe pravartyashi iti tatra ayurati. So it's like Indra is saying that I am defeated by you. Therefore I have no doubt about your victory. So why are you forcibly asking me to fight? So then he says, Tatra ayuriti. Tatat kale ayuradya anukule kale atastavayam jaya kalastam desasiti. So he said that these things happen in appropriate time. In the verse in the top place he says that Ankam Chavidyacha Mrityu Dhanam Evacha. Says that one's lifespan, education, the amount of money one will make, how one will die, what kind of activities one will perform in one's life. So he says that these are fixed at the time of death, birth. So he says, therefore, don't be in anxiety that you will be defeated. He says, Tat kale aye vadi anukule kale tastavayam jay kale. He says, now it is time for you to be victorious. And I will be defeated by you. So don't think that I will defeat you, but you will defeat me, because I am seeing the time. So Uttarasura is doing some astrological calculation. He's seeing some grahas which are in favor of Indra. And what is the Maraka graha? Maraka, which kills.
Well, it depends on the Lagna.
8th house planet. So, he's seeing his own death, Dhritarashtra. And of course, if he's seeing his own death, then Indra's victory is definite. So he said, now it is your victory time. So do it. And Viparaya Mrityu Radi Mrityu Daridravi. He said, in the same way, when it is time for death, time for someone to become poor, then it happens, although one does not desire it. So other things also happen, and these things also happen. But we should remain undisturbed in these things. So what Krishna said in Bhagavad Gita many times, again and again, that do not become disturbed by things which happen outside you, because all this victory, defeat, happiness, distress, gain, loss is not within you. It is all external to you, and no one can stop it. By the force of time it happens. So let it happen, you remain undisturbed and continue with your devotional service. So that's what we have to consider. That we become influenced and become disturbed. And then we lose track of our path. So that should not happen. That is the meaning of fight. That is the meaning of staying in the battle. This is the battlefield. And don't think that you will always be victorious. Sometimes you will be defeated. Sometimes you will be in trouble. But you have to continue the battle. So this is Dhritarashtra's teaching to Indra. And we will continue that. We will read day after tomorrow. Tomorrow there is no class. Tomorrow is Pratipada. So I'll stop here if there is any question.
Actually, at first, the idea that things are not under our control can be very terrifying.
Yes.
You know, we think that as long as we think things are under our control and we can ward off difficulties by our expertise or by money or whatever, you know, we feel good about things. And when we actually see that it's totally out of my control and it could go exactly the opposite of how I would like it to go, it's very, very scary. You know? So it seems that we have to break through to a deeper acceptance of the fact that things are totally out of our control. To feel that that's okay. That's the security of insecurity.
Actually, it is other way around. Completely other way around. When you think that things are in my control, that is very scary. That is totally scary. And when you realize that it is not in my control, it is in Krishna's control, and there is no scare. Absolutely. Because then nothing can go wrong. Absolutely. But because we don't think like that, because we don't have the alternative, and we think, I am the controller, I am the master, and if I try to tell you that, then you think, well, then things will go just the way they are going. It's not like that. When you understand the truth, which is a reality, that actually Krishna is in control, and it is his play which is going on, so then you will realize that there is actually no cause of scare for anything. Because nothing can actually go wrong in his play. So if we can get along with it, then all the problems are solved. And this is what actually he is saying. He says, Yogastha kuru karmani sangam tattva dhananjaya siddhya siddhya samo bhutva samatvam yoga uchyate. He says that Arjuna, you become situated in yoga first, and then you act. So what is this situated in yoga? He says sangam tattva. You give up attachment. So basically the scare is because we have attachments to our plants, whatever it may be. We have attachment, and attachment brings fear. Attachment brings limitation. So once we give up that, then we are scared. Then you remain sama. So Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur gives a very nice analysis of the word sama. Sama means equal. This is how you see this word translation. But he gives another meaning. Ma is also name of Lakshmi. That's why Madhava means, Ma means Lakshmi, and Dhava means husband. So Madhava means husband of Lakshmi. So he says Sama means Lakshmi Narayana. Ma means Lakshmi, Sa means with. One who is with Lakshmi is Narayana, Lakshmi, Krishna. So he says that is the meaning of being situated in Sama. That once you give up your attachment, then you are with Krishna. And there is no fear. Otherwise there is always fear. Therefore, bhayam dvitiya vinivestasya ishadapetasya viparyo smriti. When we have asmriti, we have forgetfulness, then everything is viparya. Everything is topsy-turvy. And there is only fear. So there is scare.
Generally, religion is centered into a conditional relationship with God. Like, I surrender unto you, just don't give me any bad outcome.
So I surrender to you, but I must be going like this. And otherwise, we are not God. So this bhakti is a very tough path. This is the toughest. People think all the time it's very easy, very simple. It's not easy at all. This will take your life out completely. And unless your life is taken out, you don't become a devotee. Your life will be squeezed out, and Krishna is relentless, he will not leave you. If you want to come to him, he won't spare. That's what we've been reading. He said that Vighatam Vidhatte. He says, my master is, he says, my master is that who spoils your plans. That's what Vritrasura said.